Happy New Year, movie fans. This is Joe at the movies, and welcome to 2021. This video is going to be doing my top 5 most anticipated movies of 2021, assuming they all get released this year. 2020 last year was a rough year for all of us, especially, or not especially, but including those in the movie industry like myself. So hopefully this year is going to be a lot better, and if we can reach some close to or herd immunity by late spring, which is my hope, hopefully we'll see a lot of these movies that were supposed to come out last year. Most of these movies on this list were supposed to come out in 2020, so now they've made it to my 2021 most anticipated list. But without further ado, let's get started. My number 5 most anticipated movie of the year is Black Widow, Marvel Studios' Black Widow. Normally, this probably would not have made my top 5 of 2021, but it's been a year and a half. It'll be almost 2 years by the time it's released, if it makes its release, since we've had a Marvel Studios movie, and I'm literally going through withdrawal. I was already excited about this movie. I love Scarlett Johansson. She's one of my favorite actresses working right now. And it looks like a really good movie. The trailers kind of have a Captain America, the Winter Soldier feel to it, which is my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So I'm looking forward to that, and we will see how good it is. But it made my number 5 list on my list. Number 4, A Quiet Place 2. I'm not the biggest horror fan. Horror is probably my least favorite genre of movies because there are so many bad horror movies. A Quiet Place 1 was not a bad horror movie. Quiet Place 1 was a fantastic movie. I think it was directed by John Krasinski, who also starred in it with his wife in real life, Emily Blunt, who I think is fantastic. I think they're both great, but I really like Emily Blunt. If you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, it had terrible marketing and made little to no money with her and Tom Cruise. Watch that movie. It is a wonderful piece of sci-fi, but we're talking about A Quiet Place. Quiet Place was a fantastic horror movie. If you have not seen the first one, I'm sure you can find it somewhere streaming. I suggest you watch that movie. It is a unique and interesting movie, and I loved it, and I can't wait to see what they do with part 2. Number 3 on the list, Godzilla versus King Kong. Who doesn't want to see that? Who does not want to see Kong and Godzilla go head to head? They'll make friends by the end of the movie probably and fight something even worse. I'm fine with knowing all that in advance. I just want to see on the big screen Godzilla versus Kong. That's just something everyone should want to see. I don't understand people who don't want to see that. That's just pure fun. Number 2 on the list is the latest installment of the James Bond 007 franchise, No Time to Die. The Daniel Craig, who is currently playing James Bond, his movies have been hit and miss for me. I loved Casino Royale. I didn't care much for the follow-up, Quantum of Solace. Skyfall, the third movie he did, Skyfall, is my favorite James Bond movie of all time. It dethroned From Russia with Love with Sean Connery, which is an amazing movie, but Skyfall is better, in my opinion. Then Spectre came out a couple years later, and it is probably one of the worst James Bond movies I've ever seen. So every other one seems to be good, so we're due for a good one. So I'm really looking forward to No Time to Die. All the trailers they had put out when it was supposed to release last year looked like it was going to be a really good action-packed James Bond movie. And Dad got me into James Bond when I was like 5 years old, so I've always had a special place for James Bond, even the terrible movies that are in the franchise, and there are several. Which brings us to number 1. What could it be? Well, it's not a comic book movie like many would assume. Number 1 on my list is the newest adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune. If you have not read Frank Herbert's Dune, it is one of my favorite books of all time. It is a masterpiece of science fiction, and there have been other adaptations made. In the early 80s, David Lynch did a movie with Kyle MacLachlan. Sting was in it. Patrick Stewart was in it from X-Men and Star Trek Next Generation. Other good cast members, and it was a good movie, but they were limited by the technology of the 80s and time restraints. From what I understand, David Lynch wanted to do a longer version, and the studio was like, no. And there is just too much in that book to be done in 2.5 hours. From what I understand, the director, Denis Villeneuve, who is probably my favorite director working right now, is splitting the first book into 2 movies. So this movie will be the first half of the first book of Dune. The trailer looks amazing for it. If you haven't seen it, please check out the trailer for it. There was also a sci-fi miniseries in the early 2000s, a 3-parter. It was much more faithful to the book than the theatrical movie that David Lynch did, but again, hampered by budget and the time it was made, with CGI being not nearly what it is now. So if you're really interested, check out one of the older versions, or if not, wait. I think in October is the new release date for Dune, and I think it'll be a good one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Give it a like on the YouTube channel, and please in the comments tell me what some of your anticipated movies of the year are. Thanks, and I will see you at the movies, hopefully soon. Happy New Year, everyone.